Hey, how you doing? Why don't you come over here? Join me. Let's talk. Come on, don't be shy. Join me here at the table. It is the 23,012th day for me. It is the 8th of December, the day after my birthday. And it's Sunday, so of course it's time for a sesh. Join me, won't you? So yeah, it was my birthday. And thank you everybody for all the Facebook wishes. I got happy birthday greetings from people I don't even know. I guess that's the Facebook environment. I got a lot of individual, like people texting me, calling me, things like that. I really appreciate it. That means the world to me. I got some really great things. The best thing I got, this wristwatch. I got this wristwatch for Father's Day in 1997 from Kelly and Julian. It has been marking the time that has evolved since we started our family, basically, nearly 30 years now. Last summer, when I went to New York City to work with David Sale, we tried to accomplish this shot on a subway, and it was herking and jerking, and I had this big camera of his on me, and, I fell. And when I fell, my wrist hit the seat, and it shattered the crystal of the watch, and little pieces of crystal went down into the little hole there and stuff. And I came back. Kelly said that she would see if she can get it fixed for me. But to make a long story short, she had to go all the way to Yuba City to find a guy who could even work on a Citizen watch. And his prognosis was not good. Kelly came to me last Monday, and she was so sad. She told me what she had done. She had, and the watch can't be fixed. The cost of it would be more than buying a new watch. And I was really disappointed because this watch is such a part of my identity. But she's a little shit. The guy was able to fix nearly everything on the watch, except for the part where it keeps track of what day of the week it is. Everything works. It keeps the calendar. It has both the 12-hour clock version and the 24-hour clock version. And I don't know if you can see it. Here, can you get a closer shot of that? Yeah? Okay. Well, it works perfectly. I am so pleased. She gave that to me first thing yesterday morning. And it was like wrapped in all this tissue paper. It's about the size of a burrito, and I was unwrapping. And she's going, save the tissue. So I had to do it really slow. So that was my favorite. This watch was my favorite present. It brought tears to my eyes. I started crying when I saw it because it means so much to me. I also got this t-shirt. What do you think? Nice t-shirt. It's another Beatles shirt. This one is one of my favorite Beatle images, iconic image of them in Sefton Park during 1964, which was the height of Beatlemania. And it captures visually the energy of them, the youthfulness, the new ambitions. They're all jumping in the air, off the ground, heading for the sky. It's a great image. I love it. I got this shirt along with this jacket and the last book by Ken Kesey with Ken Babbs called Last Go Around, a hardcover version, which for me is the only books I tend to save are hardcovers. My dad gave me that stuff, and it just was a great present. Julian and Jasper came down to celebrate the birthday, and Julian gave me the gift of his service and his hard work. They cut apart a bunch of that wood for me. Him and his buddy Chase worked on it for hours. They chopped it all apart. They used the wood splitter. They moved it into the courtyard for us, stacked it all up. It looks great. And that was a wonderful, wonderful present because it's something I can't really do too easily, if at all. If at all, you know what I mean? 63 years old, man. It's hard to do things these days. So I really appreciate that. And this, I got a new bowl. Do you like it? It's a personal little bowl. It matches the cup, right? Same colors, basically, purple and some amber gold kind of. And it's a very small size bowl. The other one, which we've named Fleur, the one with the bees on it and all the, I like that bowl. It's a good party bowl because it's big and deep and round. I don't like it for my, normal everyday administration of medication kind of application. I prefer something little because then I just do 2 or 3 hits and I'm done. I got to where I need to do, but it's not very good for sharing with people. So it's like Yeah, I'd share with you, but small bowl. Um, Maggie gave me this. She also gave me this cup. I don't know if she purposely coordinated that or not, but it works. And so I got this bowl. I'm really happy about that. Um, a couple of other things that I got. I got a really heartfelt message from my buddy Gino. He borrowed a page from me and gave me 3 Gs, all about me, and that really made my day. And our new friends Steve and Diane wrote a poem for me, and I'll share it with you at the end of the video. So stay tuned. Right. Not all birthdays come with such jubilation as I had this year. It's an amazing birthday for me, and it isn't always that way. And the other thing that's on my mind right now is it's December 8th, man. You know what that means? Yeah. It was 44 years ago today that John Lennon was shot to death in New York City. And that was 1980. That was the day after my 19th birthday, which no doubt goes down in the annals of my personal history as one of the worst birthdays I've ever had. 1980 was the year, if you remember from some of my other stories, that was the year that I followed the Oregon Trail from Chicago to Oregon because I was looking for Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters. And I didn't find them. I found Ken Babbs, though, and that started a whole thing for me. And I drove out there in this 1972 Capri Classic, shit brown color, big ass thing. I named it Bertha. And I didn't realize when I bought Bertha that she was a stolen vehicle. And that's how my adventure in Oregon ended. I got busted. My next move was to Traverse City, Michigan, because my dad sold me on the idea of coming and being with family during the holidays, and you don't know what you're doing in your life. Maybe you can take a breather and figure that out, and figure out your next step. And I thought, that makes sense, But it was disheartening to let go of that dream that I had. The plan that I had was to find Kesey and the Pranksters, and then I was going to continue down here. I was going to go to San Francisco for a little while, and then I wanted to kind of get out into the mountains and the Sierras here. And Dad suggested that, and he set it up, so I just went to the airport, got on a plane, and the next thing I know, this is like the middle of October now, I'm on a plane to Traverse City, Michigan. Dad worked for a large pie company, a corporate pie company, to make frozen pies, because Traverse City is the cherry capital of the world. And the position he wrangled for me was the third shift sanitation crew, and my job was to use this power washer thing to spray out these huge vats that had, wet, smelly dough, caked to the sides, and pie filling, cherry pie filling. And I'd have to, I'm spraying all over. I fucking hated the job. I fucking hated it. On the 5th night, I went to lunch and didn't come back. I hated it that much. So I left the job under, not the best of conditions. And I got myself a job at a car wash, which is weird in, December to be working at a car wash. But Thanksgiving was stressful. I was clashing with Dad and his wife. I was not feeling fit in with my brother. I didn't know what I was doing in my, what I was going to do next. My dream was kind of shattered, and what am I going to do? And I always contemplate that kind of stuff, at this time of year, around my birthday, New Year's. And Sarah, in 1980 in Traverse City, there were no shopping malls. It was very difficult to find Christmas presents, and Dad and Sarah really needed a break from me, mostly, but, some time alone. I understand. So they went to Grand Rapids, which is a bigger city, a few hundred miles down the road, I think. And they were gone from Friday until Sunday night. So that's when I thought, oh, well, there's a start. And I had this sheet of acid that I had gotten from a pharmacist that I hung out with in Tigard, Oregon. And it was really good stuff. I invited my brother and a few of his pals from high school over, and a couple of the dudes that I worked with at the car wash came by, and we had sort of our own little acid test, our own little Kool-Aid acid test. And nothing significant came out of it. It was fun. A couple of the guys spun out and got weird. My buddy Hutch just drank himself to death. Not really, but we thought for a minute that maybe he did. He was crashed in a stupor. So it wasn't a bad party. And Dad and Sarah weren't coming home until late that night, so I stayed up and I cleaned up the house and made it look as best I could as like they left it, so we wouldn't get in trouble. Because God forbid we dropped acid in their living room. And on the next day, December 8th in 1980, everybody had to go to work or school, and they were gone all day. I had the place to myself. I slept in, of course. Then I puttered around the house a little bit. I got the new John Lennon album, and so I was listening to the hell out of that. And I got the Rolling Stone, which had this great article, because it was John Lennon's big return. He'd been dormant for 5 years doing the house husband routine and stuff like that. And everybody was wondering, what's John going to do, So I was really, grooving on that. And somebody came home with a bucket of chicken we had for dinner. We did the presents thing for my birthday, because they got home so late on Sunday. And I got a really nice gift from Sarah, which was a Coach day planner, and I still have that. I still use it in a way, but I started using that then, and I liked it. And I got the other things that I mentioned, and we had a bucket of chicken. Then everybody went their own way, pretty much. I went back up to my room, and my brother, I guess, went to his room, and school night. And Dad went downstairs to watch Monday Night Football. Now, the family room where the TV was is right below the bedroom that I was staying in, and they didn't have like real thick floors and stuff, so I could hear very clearly the TV, especially when I was laying on the floor, kind of reading through the magazine, through the Rolling Stone. And I laid my head down at one point. I'm kind of looking, under the bed, and just I don't know what I was thinking about, but I heard Howard Cosell. Howard Cosell was the sportscaster for Monday Night Football, and he said something about John Lennon, a report of John Lennon being shot or something. I was like, did he just say that? And so I got up, and the house was like a split level thing. So I went down the 3 stairs and turned at the kitchen and kind of went down a step or two to where the family room was, and sat down. And in a minute or so, and we just had a confirmed report that John Lennon was shot to death, died at Roosevelt Hospital, blah, blah, blah. I was just sitting there, and tears started rolling down my eyes. I just listened. They went back to the game, and I just sat there for a second, kind of, my dad, I remember, looked at me. He didn't say anything. I think he said something maybe just like, oh, wow, but he didn't really, and I didn't want to hear it. I closed my eyes. I stood up and went back upstairs. I flopped into bed, and I started crying uncontrollably. I just sobbed so hard, and I mean, convulsions, and to the point where Dad knocked on the door before he went to bed. You okay in there? Fine, leave me alone. I was, a petulant 19-year-old, I got to say, though, before I heard that news, before John Lennon was killed, the truth of the matter was he was not my favorite Beatle. Mine were always swapping between George and Paul McCartney. And John was always solid third to me in the Beatles. And, he's a great, great musician, artist, brilliant, brilliant artist. I thought he was funny as hell. He seemed to be very smart, very intellectual. I liked some of the concepts he was doing, using his fame to promote a cause and stuff like that. But he wasn't my favorite of the Beatles at that time in my life, at least. Maybe I wasn't mature enough to appreciate it. But I certainly became, John Lennon was my favorite Beatle at that moment, because, oh my God, it was one of my heroes. So I don't remember how long it was after that. I reached down and grabbed the Rolling Stone magazine off the floor and pulled it into bed. And where I grabbed the page, there was this huge quarter page ad for a place called the Recording Workshop in Chillicothe, Ohio. And they had, said you could become a recording engineer, a sound reinforcement engineer, work in arts management as an agent or a manager or a venue operator, or become a record producer. And something about it, like it, in that moment, it just hit me, I had been thinking about my friend Todd, who died in the summer of 1979, we were 17 years old, and he died in an accident at home. And how that set off this thing where I go to look for Ken Kesey. And then that ends me up in Traverse City. And shit, John Lennon gets killed. I need to carry on that legacy in some way. I need to carry on the messages that John was trying to put out, the things that Todd and I shared. He was the kid that I learned to play guitar, write music with, dream big dreams with. He was, I was his McCartney. He was the Lennon, and Lennon was his favorite Beatle. And he died. And then the next year, John died. And it just connected to me in a way that propelled me to go, oh, this is what I got to do. And I cut it out. I didn't really cut it out. I folded the pages so that I can tear it out. And I taped it inside that Coach day planner that I got for my birthday. And it became my beacon. It became what I was going to aim to. I needed to carry on that legacy. And I knew by then that I wasn't the best musician in the world. And I didn't really enjoy the whole performance thing. I like performing, but I just didn't like you gotta haul fucking equipment, dude. I mean, at least as a writer, all I had to bring was like a pen and paper at the time, or now a laptop, or just the phone. But, so I didn't like that part about being a musician. But I like playing music. I enjoy it. I find it a form of expression. And I wanted to work in it. And I knew that I was good at working with other people. So I thought, well, I am a pretty good candidate for the record producer program. And as they say, the rest is history. It kind of set me on the course that brought me to where I am today, here in the foothills of Northern California. That was the goal all along. So I guess the moral of my little story, if there is one here, is that sometimes it seems like the worst of birthdays, but you never know what life is going to happen to you between now and then that can change the trajectory that your life was on, that will put you on a path that gets you to where you've always wanted to be. And I hope I'm wise enough to remember that it goes the other way too. This has been a fabulous birthday, and I thank you again. But the truth of the matter is, it could all change with the drop of a hat. I can go inside there, my mother could have passed, or I don't know. I don't want to think about that. And I don't want to be sad, because it's a very happy day for me, just like yesterday. And that's how I hope you're having today. So, because my executive producer over there is signaling me to get on with it, I'm going to just tell you guys thank you very much. After this, I'm going to show you that little poem that Diane composed for me. And you guys take care of yourselves. Be safe. And always keep your dauber up. Like Ken Babs told me, keep your dauber up. I'm D. Phillip. You are who you are. And I hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.